Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. So today I want to try resurrecting a bit of an older series that I made in the quite early days of the channel. I only made a couple of episodes and I gave up basically because they were too time consuming to make and I wasn't getting any other types of videos made. But I'm going to give it another go and sort of record it live. Well, I will be editing bits out for length, but this might go slightly longer than the average episode of content that I typically upload because there's quite a lot to cover. But this will be a mixture of what I've been playing recently for the current month, so everything I've played really in January, and also some of my recent pickups, but not all of them by any means, because it would take too long otherwise. As you can see, the cat will probably join in. And for each of my pickups I have found some YouTube footage that I can switch to, and I've given credit to whichever channel the footage comes to. So first of all, as you can see, I'm wearing my Mass Effect N7 hoodie, and that's really because the first sort of game that I beat in 2024 was actually the original Mass Effect again, on the Legendary Edition. I've actually lost count of the number of times that I've completed the trilogy, but I think this will be my 5th time playing it through. The reason I'm playing it again, like I need much of an excuse, is that it was only £5 over the winter break on the Steam sale. Yeah, so I'm not... Yeah, so as you can see, this video was originally made by a channel called Gamers Generation. I'm not going to have any of their audio, I'm just going to talk over it. Yeah, so this is his video of it running on the Steam Deck, recommending the best settings and everything. And yeah, so I've beaten Mass Effect 1, and I'm on the verge of beating Mass Effect 2. I've just done the IFF mission in 2, so I'll be triggering the sort of end game stuff. And for this playthrough, I've done stuff slightly differently that I have done before, in that I left rescuing Liara as absolutely late as possible, so by the time I met up with her, I'd already beaten Matriarch Benezia, which is her mum, if you remember, and also I let Rex die on Vermeer, and Caden is dead, so she never actually got to meet either of those two. So it's quite interesting playing that way and just doing things that I've never done before when I've played through it. And as for the performance, you can see it runs really well. It can do 60 frames per second in handheld mode, but I tend to lower it to 40 just to squeeze more battery power out of it. And it's a funny thing really, because for Mass Effect 1, playing at 40 frames per second like that, with lowered resolution as well and FSR turned on, I get about 2 hours maximum battery life, which isn't great, but it's most of the time it's long enough for what you want to do. 'Cause in some ways I don't mind sort of having a hard cap of how long I'll be playing on the Steam Deck, because it forces you to sort of take a break and either switch over to a big screen or do something else until it's charged up again. So yeah, and weirdly, Mass Effect 2, although it does look better and play better, the battery lasts longer. It goes up to about 2.5 hours on the same settings, 40 FPS and lower resolution. Yeah, as he's showing here, the only real pain is every time you launch the legendary edition of the trilogy, you have to go through EA's launcher, and it can take absolutely ages to load up the first time, although it hasn't been as bad as he's showing in this video. I think this is a slightly older video, and it's improved since then. But anyway, I'm having a lot of fun. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth just released, so that's been slowing me down a little bit, which gives me a good sort of segue to switch over to that, so if you'll bear with me. Yeah, so Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is of course the latest game in the Like a Dragon or Yakuza series as it was previously known, and it's only been out for a few days. I've managed to put about 11 hours into it, and I've barely scratched the surface, to be honest. I'm still on chapter 3, and I'm not doing much of the main story at the moment, because chapter 3 is really where you get a whole load of sub-stories unlock. And I've done about 6, and I've just had about another 5 pop up on the map, so it'll be a while before I get back to the main story. As for other people's videos, loads of people have been sort of streaming sort of first impression videos of it. I've watched a few reviews just out of interest, such as GameSpot and IGN, who both quite liked it. One of them said the ending's disappointing, but everyone else seems to think it's one of the best games of recent times. So we'll have to see what I eventually think of it. Everybody else's videos I've skipped because they're too spoilery, they're too far ahead in the story. Once I get a little bit further in, I might go back and watch some of these videos from my favourite content creators, but at the moment I really don't want it to be spoiled. So before I talk about the other games that I've played this month, I think I'm going to switch back to the big camera and do a few of my pickups. Yeah, so next, let's go over some of the recent games that I've picked up. So first up, Tinykin has now been released physically on the Nintendo Switch, thanks to Super Rare Games. And it's a game that I've played quite a big chunk of before on the Xbox Series X on Game Pass, but I didn't finish it, so I'm going to eventually unseal that and complete it on the Switch, I think. It's for anyone who doesn't know, it's a 3D platformer, but it borrows ideas from Pikmin in that the Tinykin are little creatures that you gather up, and they follow you around, and they all have different abilities that help you in your platforming, like they can form a ladder and you can climb up them, and things like that. And before I go over any more games, actually, there's one other interesting thing that I've picked up this month. I traded a whole load of games in that I have either finished or am not going to play to CEX, and managed to gather up £400 worth of credit, and I used that to buy a pair of X-Real Air glasses, and then I bought the X-Real Beam as well. And these are AR glasses that you wear plugged into your Switch or your Steam Deck or just the Beam, and you can play Switch games, Steam Deck games, whatever you want really, if you've got a device that has USB-C out. So I think Apple MacBooks and Apple iPhone and certain Samsung phones all support it, and you can do it to any device if you buy the right adapter as well. So I had to buy an extra cable and an adapter for the Switch, but now I play that on the train. You do get some strange looks because it looks like you're sitting there with shades on inside the train, and you're looking directly at whoever's sat opposite you, if there is someone, but you're happily playing away on your screen. And I played the next game I'm going to talk about that way on the train. So let's just switch over to that quickly. Yeah, so the next game I played through and finished throughout January was Super Mario RPG, the remake on the Switch. I have dabbled with this game on the Super Nintendo, but I never beat it. I think it's just something about not actually owning a physical copy meant that I would never felt really sort of compelled to play through a ROM on an emulation device all the way through, because for those who don't know, the game never came out in the UK originally. So this is actually the first time, other than stuff like the Wii and Wii U Virtual Console, that the game's actually been released, certainly in physical format. And the visuals, the new high-res visuals, look absolutely brilliant. And on an OLED screen or on the X-Real glasses, it looks really, really nice, as you can see here from this footage. And it's a precursor to the rest of the Mario RPGs, really. So the Paper Mario series and Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, all of those games. This really kick-started the whole series, and it has the same sort of action commands that you do as you attack when an exclamation mark appears. If you press the button at the right time, you get extra damage, and the same for defense. It's not a hugely long game. It's a decent length. It took me about 22 hours. I haven't done all the optional post-game bosses. I tried to do a few and got absolutely slaughtered by Booster Engine, whatever it is, which is the second of the optional bosses. So I would have to probably gear up and change my tactics if I wanted to beat him. But yeah, that's another game that I crossed off this month. So anyway, let's switch back over to... So let's get a few more pickups done, because I've only talked about one so far. This is a very recent pickup. This is Prince of Persia, the Lost Crown. I've unsealed it, but I haven't actually put it in and played it yet. So typically I can get sort of stuck and frustrated with Metroidvanias, which I will have to see how I get on with this, whether I can actually proceed with it. I've heard the accessibility options are quite good, so you can adjust things like the parry timing and make it easier and lower the difficulty. So as I'm a bit of a novice in the genre, I might actually take advantage of that and do that. This next game is one that I have tried for about 4 hours, which is Digimon Survive. The reason I picked this up is it was ridiculously cheap, especially on the physical version on the Xbox One. It was about £6, and I have been intrigued by this game ever since I saw the review by Switch Up. And it's an interesting mashup of a sort of visual novel style game crossed with tactical turn-based RPG combat, and apparently there's some elements of horror in there later as well, but I haven't really got to any of that. So, but yeah, you're a group of Japanese school kids who have been sent to investigate sort of some historical ruins in the countryside, and you stumble across the Digimon, which are these sort of little monsters. They've been around almost as long as Pokemon, I think, but I think they were sort of a copycat, one of the earliest sort of Pokemon copycats out there from Bandai Namco. And yeah, you make friends with some of them and team up to defeat some of the nastier ones. Like there's a big spider one, which is about as far as I played. There was a huge spider boss which I beat. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really been able to spend much time in it. I'd like to play more of it, but it's suddenly a really busy time with games coming out, so I might not get back to that for a while. And now some more sealed games that I haven't actually had time to try. This is Monochrome Mobius for the PS4. This I saw in a recent video for Overlooked PS4 Gems, and it looked like my sort of game because it's a turn-based Japanese RPG, so I'll give that a try. Gal Guardians, Demon Purge. This was another £5 game. It's another Metroidvania, so we'll have to see how I get on with it, but I picked that up. More cheap Xbox games. These are some games that have been on my sort of radar for a while, but I never picked them up. And I had some extra credit from CEX after getting the glasses. And these were only about £5 each, so I've finally added them to my collection. And they are The Quarry, which is another sort of cinematic horror game in the style of Until Dawn from Supermassive, and Space-Based Startopia. Startopia is an old PC game. It's a bit sort of like a Godsim where you manage a space station, and this is a sort of remastered or sequel, a modern version of it. Didn't get great reviews, hence why I haven't picked it up till now. But I did love Startopia. It was a sort of overlooked classic on the PC. So we'll have to see if it does the original justice. And the last of the cheap games that I haven't opened yet is Darksiders 3. I've tried this out a bit, but I haven't actually finished Darksiders 2 yet. So I won't get stuck into 3 before I actually finish 2, but it's nice to have the trilogy, and I've got Genesis as well on the Switch. So before I do my last pickup that I want to talk about, let's switch back to the other view and talk about another game that I've beaten this month. So this is Sakura Wars on the Sega Saturn, which I've just recently beat yesterday. In fact, I got the ending, and this is for an upcoming review that I'm planning to do, where I compare the original Sega Saturn Sakura Wars against the 2020 release on the PS4, the sort of soft reboot. So you can look forward to that coming soon. I don't want to say too much about it at the moment, but this original Sakura Wars never came out over here. It still hasn't been released, but some enterprising people have taken it upon themselves to do a full English translation, which is now 100% complete. So if you want to emulate the game, or you've got a Sega Saturn with a Fenrir device in it, like I have, you can play through it in English. And if you don't know, a Fenrir is basically it's a SD card reader which replaces the disk drive, which I have. I bought a Sega Saturn with one installed during lockdown when I had a bit of extra cash from not having to commute to work. So yeah, I've been sort of sitting on this Sega Saturn, not literally, or I'd break it because I'm heavy, but I've had the Sega Saturn for a couple of years and I haven't actually made much use of it yet, other than dabbling in some games when I first got it. So I want to make more use of it this year and complete some games, and this was the first one. So I don't know when exactly that review's going to be out, probably in a couple of weeks, because I've got one more video that I want to make before I get round to it. But anyway, that's really the last game that I've beaten this month that I want to talk about. So let's just switch back to the last game that I want to talk about that I've picked up recently that's interesting, and also that I've played a fair amount actually. In December I played it. Is called Inversion, and this was a game that I hadn't actually heard of until I saw a copy in CEX, and I took a bit of a risk picking it up because I didn't really know if it was any good because it was a few quid, and they had it on the PS3 and the 360. But I'm more of a 360 fan, so I picked that version up. It's been sat on the shelf ever since. And then just recently, the Polygon Don did a PS3 sort of hidden gems video, and one of the games he included was Inversion, and I quite liked the look of it because it's another cover shooter like Gears of War or Binary Domain or any of that sort of game. Definitely better than Quantum Theory, which I recently reviewed on the channel. And the whole gimmick of this one is that you can manipulate gravity. Well, at first the enemies manipulate gravity, you don't have any control over it yourself, so you'll find yourself fighting on the ceiling upside down or fighting on a wall horizontally, but eventually you get the ability to shift the gravity yourself and sort of send the enemies flying off into the air, and it's fun. It's a good game. I don't know why I never heard of it back then. It probably didn't make much of an impact, but it's a fun time. So I recommend looking out for a copy yourself if you haven't heard of that one and you like that sort of game. But anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about this episode. It hasn't actually been too long. I thought I might be talking away for almost an hour, but it's actually only been about 25 minutes, and it'll be shorter by the time I've trimmed all the bits where I'm switching windows and stuff. So yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this and you'd watch another one at the end of February. And in the meantime, take care.